Welcome, everybody. I'm JD along with Gail, and you're tuned in to another episode of Gale Force. Welcome aboard, everybody. How you doing today, Gail?
Oh, doing just lovely. Going to enjoy the weekend and the holiday.
Well, you're looking lovely for this holiday. It is a holiday season here in the States, at least. It's Thanksgiving here, which will be tomorrow, which reminds me I got to wake up in about 6 hours here to start the turkey. I'm smoking a turkey. But tonight's episode, I think we ought to talk a little bit since it is the holiday seasons. Let's talk a little bit about economics and the situation about the world economy and what's happening. And, everything seems to be hitting on all eight cylinders, or I guess nowadays, what is it, four cylinders, since pretty much every vehicle is four cylinders.
Turbocharged four-cylinder.
So let's do some talk on economics. So I'll let you start the show. What's going on in the world?
Well, in our last article, we were talking about fuel and gas and possibly gas for heating people's homes in the winter.
That's right. The problems they're having over in Europe, the riots.
You know, am I still there?
Yeah, you're looking great. Beautiful
Okay.
as all.
Okay, there's this investment guy that has a what do you call those funds that do all the things with derivatives and stuff like that?
About like the hedge funds or whatever, or
Hedge fund. This guy's got a hedge fund out in California. And his name is James Codier. And because of these oil and gas market fluctuations and Trump and everybody pumping lots of oil and the economy slowing down around the world, the natural gas, oil, and gasoline markets have taken a plunge. And he was shorting the market.
okay,
The total losses, he's got like 170, millionaire people that he has in his fund.
yep.
They've lost all of their money. And when you take and short a market,
Wait. You're not saying they lost all of their funds?
and they're on the hook for almost $150 million because they shorted the market.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I thought you were saying they just lost their gains that they had because everything's so.
No.
All right. So go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry I interrupted. I got that wrong.
No. I mean, it's just like, it's mind blowing that you can take and short something. And they do these short contracts,
Yep.
and you bet that the market's going to go up or go down. If the
Yep.
market explodes up or falls off a cliff,
Yeah.
quite often they can go beyond your stop losses.
Okay.
If it goes beyond your stop losses and then sells,
Okay.
all your money and you owe the difference.
Yeah, it's like a margin call if you're doing options or whatever.
That's what it is. It's an margin call, and the people have lost it all, and there's an IOU for $150 million.
Wow. What a real quick for people who really aren't into economics. And again, we're not economists. We're not advisors. Don't take our word for anything. We're not giving any advice. That's not what we do.
Your own due diligence.
We just do, we do our opinions. Our show, Gale Forest, is all about opinions. And what happens on a margin call, if you do a short or something like that, is if you are in a loss, the company, the stockbroker and the companies, they can actually come and take everything you own, including your house. If you got to pay the bill, they just come in there and they take everything. They don't,
Yes.
it's you're not protected. So you got to be really careful, especially if you're playing with somebody else's money. So what you're saying is this guy did a short, and all of a sudden everything went the opposite way, and now they're on the
I think he went long and it fell off a cliff.
Man,
Yeah,
I imagine.
he was wanting it to go like to $100 or $80 or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Dropped off a cliff, and it
Man, you imagine that?
yeah, he bet long
Yeah.
because
Oh, okay. Because
and
that's because everybody said that gas or oil is always going to be going up. That we're not going to have cheap oil ever again. Like
yeah, it was going to
Obama
go to
said, you know.
$100 and all this kind of stuff. Well, he bet
Yes.
the bank on a long,
Oh man.
and it fell off a cliff and went down about $10 or $15.
And how much are they on the hook for?
I think the article says $150 million.
So this guy is
Oh, the
taking it.
losses can total $150 million. That's
Wow.
everything they've got in there plus the bottom.
Wow. You imagine that? And this is during a good economy. And that's what we're going to talk about. Again, you're listening to Gale Force. You can find us on YouTube, and you can find us on a better channel, which is called BitTube, which is going to blow YouTube away pretty soon. And you can find us on Facebook under Every Bit Matters, because not only do we talk about the economy and the current news, but we're also into the cryptocurrencies and all that stuff. So look us up on Facebook, give us a shout out, look us up on YouTube under Gale Force, BitTube under Gale Force, and Facebook under Every Bit Matters. So the economy for the last couple of years, Trump has done a fantastic job on the economy. He's doing a lot of stuff in the background that you never hear about on the news because, of course, we know the news organizations are really anti-Trump, and
Absolutely.
anything they can find to blame it on him, they will. And I was surprised. I was watching the news today and saw all the traffic. Man, the traffic nightmares out there. Everybody trying to visit their relatives for Thanksgiving. I was waiting for the newscaster to say that these backups were caused by Trump. They never got around to saying that, but I can imagine that if they could blame the holiday traffic on Trump, they would. But he's actually doing a really good job on the economy in the background by loosening regulations, by lowering some taxes. One good deal he's done that for every new regulation that the government comes out with, they have to get rid of two regulations. So all this has helped the stock market. And as we see the stock market at the beginning of the year, last couple 18 months or so has really been going through the roof. But in the last couple of weeks, something strange has been happening to the stock market. And we've been seeing losses. What's the deal on that? Why is all of a sudden is the stock market, are they spooked by something? I don't
Yes.
know. I'm kind of confused on this area. Here I've been told that the economy is doing really, really, really good, but now all of a sudden the stock market is saying, "Whoa, something is not right." So, in your opinion, what's not right?
It's the same answer. The economy's too good.
The
Now,
economy too good, huh?
okay, what happened is when Trump did all these things, he allowed corporations to bring back billions and billions of dollars. The repatriation
Yep.
at a low interest rate. They can bring it back. They don't have to pay 60%. They only have to pay 20% or whatever the deal was behind closed doors. We really don't know the real numbers.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now you bring back all those tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars from around the world. Let's see.
What are you going to do with that money?
Well, not only that is, let's say you brought back $100 billion out of Europe. That's $100 billion less dollars in European banks, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine they don't like that too much.
Hence the downturn and the turmoil in Europe, Trump allowing corporations to bring the money back to America. They took it out of European banks. And under the fractional reserve system,
which is a joke in itself.
but even if they're even halfway close, if you take all the money out of the bank and bring it to American banks, it ain't there in your European bank to lend out or collect taxes on.
One of the stories, and I don't have it because it's disappeared, but I was reading here for the last couple of months that a lot of countries are dumping U.S. treasuries. They're actually dumping the U.S. dollar, and they're holding less of them. And I'm trying to figure out why they would do that. Are they expecting something about our economy that they want to get out of U.S. dollars? What's your take on that?
My take on that is a multi-pronged thing. First off, China and Russia are trying to set up a new world reserve currency. It's called the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Is how it originally started out. And they're all buying up bunches and bunches, tons of gold every year. They're wanting to have a gold-backed currency.
Okay.
The United States is trying to stop them, and they're trying to use the SWIFT system to stop them. So they're either selling their treasuries, or there's a sneaky thing that's not being talked about.
And what would that be?
They're going to other countries that still think America's great, like Zimbabwe or several African countries. They'll buy something up, but they give them American treasuries, and that way they sold them without selling
them. So you're not saying like we're sending them counterfeit money. We wouldn't do that. The U.S. dollar is not. I mean, the counterfeit. The U.S. dollar is. It's worth something because it's backed by something.
The pledge of the full faith and confidence in the United States.
And if you've seen some of our senators and some of our congressmen and our current president, and you're thinking that's what the U.S. dollar is based on, I would be a little sketchy too. I mean, we got off the gold standard way back in 72 when Nixon finally said, our money's not backed by nothing except our promise. And now people are dumping our promise because apparently our promise, we keep breaking promises. We've been doing that since we came over here and broke all our promises to the Native Americans.
White man speak with forked tongue.
Yeah. So, and now we're doing that with the rest of the world. We're, the banks are playing games. Our government is playing games. But our economy is doing really well here for the last couple of weeks. And I don't, I read a story where George Soros, I know, a lot of people might not know who he is, but he broke the Bank of England by placing a bet. And he managed to dump a bunch of these big tech stocks that he was into right before the stock market started going into the red here the last couple of weeks.
Facebook and Google and Amazon, he dumped a whole bunch of it, mostly Facebook.
And you wonder, people say, well, the game's not rigged. This is what bankers do. This is what countries do. But if this one guy knew something was about to happen and pulled all his money out, this has to kind of pretty much show you that there's, I hate using the word conspiracy, but that's what the word is. There's people running the banks and the governments, and they know ahead of time what's going to happen, and that's how they make all their money. I mean, they like all the congressmen, they go into Congress, being a normal Joe, not worth a whole lot, but by the time they get out of Congress, they're millionaires. I mean, look at the Obamas. They went in there as simple lawyers, not making a whole bunch of money, but now they're almost billionaires,
Right.
and they were in government just for 8 or 10 years, and look how much they're coming out with. I mean, they're all crooks up here, and our economy is going to take a hit, and it's the little guys like you and I who are going to get stuck paying this bill, and our kids and our grandkids and their kids and their grandkids. And we keep hearing about this, we keep hearing about this great economy we're having, but it's not too great. Something's got to break here pretty soon, and I'm kind of scared that when it does hit, this could be really, really worse than the Great Depression. What do you think?
I absolutely do, because there's one other thing that happened. You talked about George Soros, but do you realize what the Oracle of Omaha did?
Oh, Buffett? No. What news do you have there?
I read it on several places, so I don't think it's a conspiracy. You see, J.P. Morgan is one of the banks that's been playing the COMEX for rigging of silver and gold and stuff, and they've got huge amounts of silver.
Yeah.
Well, J.P. Morgan just about they made some bad calls, and Warren Buffett just bought a whole bunch of J.P. Morgan and bailed out J.P. Morgan. Now, if the economy is so good, why would Buffett buy out J.P. Morgan, save J.P. Morgan?
Really? I got to look that up, but I have not heard that. So he put a lot of money into J.P. Morgan. Are you saying that J.P. Morgan is having a hard time and they came begging somebody to kind of help them out? You're not really saying that this big bank is?
Let's say maybe he bought all the silver they kept in their vaults.
That's kind of interesting.
Okay, because remember, didn't about a year or so ago, Warren Buffett was bragging about how much cash he was sitting on?
That's true. He was sitting on a ton of cash, and probably still is.
But if he uses his cash to bail out J.P. Morgan, and now he's holding their silver.
Oh.
So he's liquidated their silver. He has assumed their silver, liquidated some of his cash, and prolonged the collapse of banks.
I'm wondering now if George Soros is into silver, because silver is way, way undervalued. I mean, silver, I think we talked about this before, is a commodity that's used in almost everything. Medicine, electronics, you name it. If you're touching something, it probably has silver in it, and silver is consumed. And yet, what is it? $16-17 an ounce? That just doesn't make sense. And
it's a ratio of like 83 to 1.
Again, we don't give advice, and don't take our advice, because we're not good at it either. We don't even take our own advice very well. But yeah, I think silver would be something that you might want to buy a little bit of, just to have, as I wouldn't say insurance or savings, maybe both, but silver is definitely undervalued. And if you're saying that Warren Buffett pretty much has saved J.P. Morgan and has taken control of their silver, does he see something in the future that the rest of us don't see and that we haven't read about or heard about yet?
You can go to BBC or any of the ones that you want and just follow over the last couple of years what goes on in Venezuela. And an ounce of silver can feed a family of 2 or 3 for up to 6 months.
That's hard to believe. And what people don't seem to realize, and I tell this to my friends, is they keep complaining, especially my wife, And you talk to anybody who goes grocery shopping, and they always say, you know, the price of eggs have gone up, the price of milk has gone up, the price of this and that. You know, the prices of everything's going up, but that's not really true
No.
because silver has retained, and just like gold has retained its value, it actually has some kind of value. And back in the 70s, an ounce of silver would buy you so much gas, but that ounce of silver today will still buy you that same amount of gas. So prices aren't going up. What is happening is the value of your dollar, that dollar that we hope that the government we have faith in, the value of that dollar is going down. It's worth less and less. So
They're
you need
inflating the
need
value
for those
away.
dollars. What
They're
was that?
inflating the value away.
And that's another way of getting tax money. That's another way of getting money from the ordinary citizen is through inflation. Inflation doesn't happen because it costs more to produce something. Inflation happens because the government gets involved in the economy, and it's a way for them to steal more of your money. And
Absolutely.
and that's what's happening. And I just read an article. Let me see if I can get it to come up here. Hopefully we'll get this split screen. But I just read an article here that um, the headline is, if you're still dealing with holiday debt, there's no need to be Scrooge. And what the article is saying is our economy was doing so good the last couple of years that people have gone out and spent a lot of money to buy presents for, you know, the holidays. And they've actually gone into debt to pay for these new presents. And this is from last year. They're still in debt from last year from buying
Yes.
presents. And now they're going to take that credit card and buy more stuff because from what they hear from the news and what they hear from the government and what they hear from their congressmen is, hey, the economy is going to be doing well for the next, you know, decade or so. So don't worry about it. Go out there and spend your money, and the economy is going to do great. And, you know, they're still in debt from last year. And now they're going to buy presents on that credit card again for this year and go farther in debt. We are so far in debt. The average American is so far in debt that there's no way they can get out of it. And that's what our country is. Our country is just so far in debt. There is no way we're going to be able to pay back. What is it? $21 trillion now that we spent.
Well,
That we don't
21
have.
trillion. 21 trillion. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that thought for a second. Let me throw one other thing in there. The facts that I heard is consumer debt. What we owe in credit cards, car payments, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The American consumer debt is $1.3 trillion.
Holy moly.
The student loan debt is like 1.35 or 1.4 trillion dollars. Okay, 21 trillion dollars. That's the budget, right? That's the thing we're in debt.
That's what we owe.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You
that's
think
money.
that's what we owe?
That's money we spent that we don't have. I mean, that's
That's
what
the
they're.
reported budget.
That's what they're telling us. How much do you think we're really in debt?
Well, there's this woman who's an economist. She was part of housing and urban development in the 90s. She was an undersecretary of housing and urban development. A few years ago, she runs a thing called the Solari Report. And she took government numbers posted on the internet, downloaded it into PDF files, and went through it.
Yep.
And she said that she found another $21 trillion of debt that's not reported. Okay, there's this.
You're talking on top of the 21 that is reported.
Oh, yes.
That there's another 21 that's not reported. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, that's what she proposed. Okay.
Okay.
There's an economic professor at the University of Economics in Michigan, Dr. Mark Skidmore. You can look him up. This is no tinfoil hat. To prove her wrong, he had his students that were trying to get their master's degree and stuff like that. They went, and their assignment was to prove her wrong.
Okay.
Going to prove Catherine Austin Fitz wrong. By the time they were done, they downloaded stuff from the Department of Defense, Housing, Urban Development, and several others. They found at least $30 trillion that's not reported.
So while they were trying to prove her wrong, they even found more debt.
Yes.
This is interesting because I've never heard this. This sounds, again, that word I hate to use, conspiracy, but
so I thought it was too. So I went around looking, and I found article after article, and government didn't deny it. You know what they did? They just redacted it. Okay, now our good president, and there's some things good about Donald Trump, some things not good.
Yeah, like everybody, except for you and I. You know, we're almost perfect, and we're damn good.
That Eisenhower, he was the best there ever was. But
and we're damn good looking too. We should have our own show on YouTube or something. You know,
right? What's one of the Trump started a new branch of the government, and most people didn't pay attention. And by the puzzled look on your face, you forgot it already.
Yeah, I'm confused at this point.
It's
then again,
Space Force.
Oh yeah, the Space Force. How's that working out?
Where's the money coming for the Space Force? Oh, do you remember Ronald Reagan? And he had the Star Wars initiative?
Yep. Which pretty much broke up the Soviet Union, Russia.
Do you think that they gave up a golden goose?
Oh, no.
And so because it started to get exposed, Trump has to create a branch of the military called the Space Force to say, well, this is where it went.
Okay, it's kind of clicking. I kind of see what you're going at. They're trying to find an excuse of where this money supposedly went. This money we don't have, except that we do because we got these big machines and we got plenty of force out there, so we can just keep printing new dollars. So you're saying in order to hide this debt that eventually probably will get out somehow, that they're going to say, well, because of this new Space Force, that's where the money went.
We've really been working on it for all these years, and now that we might as well bring it out and show it to you, because all these things, they're not really alien spaceships. Because, the SR-71 Blackbird.
Fantastic airplane.
That's 1960s technology.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Think about that. That was developed in the early 1960s. The plane would go up to like 90,000 feet, fly at like 4,000 or 5,000 miles per hour. Nobody really knows.
And this was all made with slide rules, not computers.
So we're getting into quantum computing. Holy cow. Do you think there really is a Space Force?
At this point, there is so many stories, note. I'm just worried that if the economy starts really going into the dumpers, and we've seen this the last couple of weeks. I don't know, was the stock market up today? I didn't even look before we started the show.
I think today it was only up like 50 or 60 points. Let me look real quick.
But for the last couple of weeks, it's been slowly going down. A couple hundred points here, a couple hundred points there.
One day it was on like 600 points. Another day it was on like 500 points. Today it finished down at 0.95, so it didn't even fall a whole point.
Okay, so it did pretty good, but I read an article where one of the big advisors, economic gurus or whatever, he's predicting within the next couple months that there's going to be a 2,000 point drop in the stock market.
Yep.
Now, what's that going to do to all the retirees that are getting ready to retire? What's that going to do to the economy if the stock market drops 2,000 points? Now, I don't know if he means in one day or over a couple days, but
Over a week or two.
a 2,000 point drop in the stock market will pretty much put an end to this great economy that we've been told over the last couple of months is not going to stop. I mean, the economy is going on all 8 cylinders. I mean, we're looking great here in the States, and now here's this guy saying, whoa, hang on, there's going to be a 2,000 point drop. Oh man, that could be disastrous. That could be, I mean, and does it start here or does it start somewhere? Does it start in some other country that causes this 2,000 point, or does some news come out? I mean, I'm kind of interested on where he got this idea that it's going to drop 2,000 points.
Okay, that's easy. If you look back at the market for years and years and years, a 10% correction was the norm, correct?
That's the norm, yeah. We go through cycles, and they've gone back a couple hundred years, and you got your up and down. It's a normal occurrence that we should expect.
So what's 10% of 25,000?
That's a good drop. So that's
2,500. That's just a 10% correction.
Yeah.
That's going to send people into a panic. It's not the 10% correction you need to look for.
Yeah.
It's people with expecting Bitcoin to go to 100,000 with no correction. Our stock has gone straight up since 2008 when he started quantitative easing.
Yeah.
It's gone from about 12,000 to 27,000 with no major correction.
And what gets me is, since we do talk about currency, cryptocurrencies, is that's what they said about Bitcoin when it did a sudden jump and almost went to $20,000. They're saying there has to be a correction. It just can't keep going up and up and up. And yet they tell us that the stock market is going to keep going up and up and up and up. It's hard to be consistent. I mean, if the stock market can keep going up and up and up, why can't currency keep going up and up and up? And yet they tell us that there's no way that cryptocurrency can keep going up and up and up. It's got to have a correction. It's going to go to zero. Well, there's a good chance that the stock market could go to zero. Now, not the whole stock market, but a lot of big companies could go under because we were talking about personal debt, consumer debt being high. The corporate debt is really, really high. I mean, especially all this money that they're bringing back in from other countries. The companies are spending money like it's, they know that if something happens, the government's there to bail them out, and no problem, we can spend it like there's no tomorrow, and that's what's happening. But if you stack on the corporate debt, along with the consumer debt, along with government debt, something's got to give, and boy, when it does, a lot of people are going to be hurting. I'm saying a lot of, even the, they're worried about a poor person doesn't have to worry too much about, crash because they don't have much to begin with. But all these big wigs, all these big CEOs, if there's a big correction like that, you're going to see a lot of guys jumping out of windows like they did back in 1929.
Sotheby's, the big auction place, they have been selling artwork and stuff at an alarming rate. People are giving millions of dollars for different artwork to get out of fiat money and into hard assets. Why? Why are they buying silver and gold by the ton? Why are they buying land? Why are they buying hard assets if they believe, like you, what did you say? What was his name? Mr. Evil? George
Soros?
Soros? Why would he get out of something if he doesn't see it coming?
Yeah, that's what scared me when I read that he dumped a bunch of stocks right before they went down. He knows something's coming. He's not a stupid guy. He sees something in the future. Now, what we need to worry about, is it the near future, or is it the future off a little ways? Do we have time to kind of, work some magic and save, or get what we need to get? Or is this thing going to hit all at once and really just break things wide open? I mean, we're into territory that we've never been in before. I don't know if you follow a gentleman. I think his name is Mike Malone. Mike Maloney, I think is his name, and he's got a great series of videos on how the government, counterfeits money, and how we're on this fractional reserve system, and he's scared. And I'm just wondering, is this going to be? Are we going to wake up one day and find out that we're in a recession and the stock market is dumped, or is this going to be a gradual slowdown?
It's got two scenarios. It's going to grind down till something breaks, or something's going to break and then it's going to domino.
Yeah, the domino effect is the one I'm pretty sure you got to worry about, because once you see it happening, once it starts somewhere, you're not going to have enough time to protect yourself, because the domino effects, you've seen dominoes. Once you hit one, it starts going and it goes fast.
There you go.
A gradual turn down, like if we see, 100-point drops, every couple of days or whatever, you can kind of see it coming and make plans. But if something happens, and it could be some small country in the middle of nowhere, that
It
all
could
of a
be
sudden,
something like Estonia or something like that, something way off nowhere.
that nobody was even thinking about, not on anybody's radar, that, doesn't produce much, they're not a big game player, but if something happens in their banking system, it goes from there, and you don't have time to do nothing. And, we're again in territory, dangerous waters that we haven't in before. And if you're saying that our $21 million debt is actually double, if not more than that, from what they're telling us, that's really, really scary. And again, if you dump on all the other debt, we're just, you think 2008 was bad. I think, you better hang on to something, because it's going to be a lot worse than that.
A lot worse, a lot worse. A couple of things that also was out there is there was a trader, and I can't remember, it was J.P. Morgan or it was Citibank. It was one of the big ones, and he got this trader, and this just came out in the last week, and they're federally charging him with manipulation and fixing of the markets.
Cheers, everybody.
And while he was doing that, he said, well, hey, my supervisors taught me how to do it. They all were doing it, and
they always come after the little guy,
Yeah, but he rolled over right in court, right on the record, and started naming, of course they bleeped it out, the names of the supervisors that taught him how to do it, that knew he was shorting and rigging the silver market.
Amazing.
A thing come out just a little while ago, Dwayne. I haven't really talked to you too much about it. The EU Central Bank, the country of Italy, sent their budget proposal for 2019.
Okay.
And the EU Central Bank said, nope, you got to redo your budget. You're spending too much money. You owe us money, so cut back so you can give us more money. The EU Central Bank is telling the sovereign state of Italy, we won't accept your budget for 2019. You need to cut some more money because you owe us money.
I tell you, they got this extortion stuff. They got it down to an art.
An art is correct.
You know, imagine what the U.S. citizen would do if another country told us that we had to stop spending money or stop doing this. You know, imagine what we would say. So you can imagine, you're saying this is Italy, so or Greece. Italy, was it?
Well, this one, yeah, we won't get it. We'll get into Greece later. That's
Yeah.
another.
You know, imagine all of a sudden, you know, you're trying to put together a budget, and the king comes by and says, "No, we can't accept that. You got to redo it." So, man, I can just, you know, I'm just kind of blown away because every time we get together and talk, you give me more information that I'm not ready to respond with yet. So now I got to go do some more research. And
Let me give you this one to research. If you study a guy, and he's a trader, it's called traderschoice.net. His name is Gregory Mannarino. And I've been following him off and on for years. And he trades mostly in, what's he call it? Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. He's been saying for a long time that the 10-year bond is the key.
Okay.
That if the 10-year bond rate and the 30-year bond rate, and what most people don't know is your housing, the price of interest on your house and the price of interest on your cars are fixed on the 10-year bond, not the 30-year bond.
yeah,
If the 30-year bond and the 10-year bond cross and you have a bond inversion, every single time in the last 100 years that's happened, within 3 months to 6 months, the economy is in the crapper. If the Fed raises the interest rate another quarter point in December,
I was just going to bring that up.
And 30-year cross.
Oh, really? So we're that close. I was going to ask you about the interest rates because I heard a rumor. Well, not rumors, but everybody says that they need to kind of slow the economy down a little bit, and the way to do it is by raising the interest rates. But that just makes everything. That just makes it worse. And if they do that now, that could be the domino that does it all. You know, that's a little scary.
Remember when they added on, they wanted to just tap the brakes years ago, and they called it, they're going to have to raise the interest rate up and lightly tap the brakes because there was irrational exuberance.
Exuberance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happened when they raised the rates up just enough that the 10-year and the 30-year crossed? Woo!
And that's about to happen, you say, huh?
Getting real close.
Okay, again, we're getting near the end of the show. I just want to remind everybody that do not take our advice. We're not financial advisors. We just give our opinion. I'm JD. This is Gail. And you can find us on Facebook under Every Bit Matters, because right now, every bit matters. And I would suggest that, you know, take a couple $100 and maybe buy a little bit of Bitcoin just to have it, you know, buy some silver, buy some gold. Don't take my advice. Do your own research. But
buy supplies like there's a hurricane coming.
I think there's a tsunami, a hurricane, an earthquake, you name it, it's coming. We're way over debt. Everybody is really way, way over debt. The credit cards, you know, this is money coming out of thin air. Our printing presses for that U.S. dollar that, you know, is backed by people like Maxine Waters and, you know, the rest of those fools, Nancy Pelosi and all those other fools. That dollar backed by their confidence really makes me sleep good at night. So I know that the U.S. dollar is going to be around forever. and we're okay here. Keep spending, people. Again, you can find us on YouTube under Gale Forest. You can find us on the new channel BitTube, which everybody needs to check out under Gale Forest. You can find us on Facebook under Every Bit Matters. We'd love to hear your comments. And as soon as we get our studio fixed up a little bit here and we get the chat room going, we hope people will join us live on the show. And we'll see if we can't even get some video of some people joining us. And we're going to be continuing this for quite a while. We're going to try to do a show as often as we can, and it's called Gale Force. So look it up, and pretty soon we're going to take over the world, because not only is our brains really just cranking, our good looks is what really makes this show happen.
That's going to carry us a long ways.
That's going to carry us a long way, and I can't wait till we get our own show. It's been great talking to you, like always. We have to end it on a good note, and that good note is I'm getting ready to start the fire for a turkey, because we're here in America. It's Thanksgiving, and we give a thanks at least once a year for this great country we call America, home of the free and the brave, and we're free to do pretty much nothing, because you got to pay a license to go fishing, you got to pay a license fee to go driving, you got to pay this fee, that fee. We even have this fantastic thing called property taxes, which means if you buy a house, even if you pay off the mortgage, you don't own that house. You'll never own that house, right? Because if you pay the property tax, guess who gets that house? That beautiful government we have. And I just love it. Again, everybody, thanks for joining us here on Gale Forest. I'm JD. This is Gale, and we can't wait to do another show for you. And we'll see you after Thanksgiving. God bless everybody. God bless America. And Gale, have a great night.
You too. Have a good one.
All right. See you in a little bit.